Hey everyone, this video relates to a Facebook post I put online the other day basically talking about how, just because you're a good player doesn't mean you should teach. So it's going to be a little bit of an exploration. It's also going to be a little bit of a rant because I think a few things need to be said about some of the teaching methods that are available online. So when I started Ultimate Rob almost 4 years ago in the spring of 2009, there were a couple instructional videos online. A lot of those instructional videos were from an instructional channel, and basically it featured a guy with a ponytail, kind of, a hippie. I actually met him last year. He's an amazing guy. He's been around Frisbee for a long time. But at the time, those were the only videos really available teaching people how to throw or how to do anything Frisbee related on YouTube. And I thought, okay, if this is the image that we have, I really wanted to update that image. So 4 years ago, I started adding videos, and since then I've added 70 or 80 instructional videos, and there's been 30 or 40 other videos that are related to Frisbee, but not necessarily instructional. In that time, there's been Colin McIntyre has added a great video that I've shared with people. Matt Mackey has added some pretty good instructional videos. Rise Up have done a bunch of videos. There was a recent video done by a league in the US that's been pretty good. Obviously Brody Smith, his videos, which I'll touch on later on. There's the Throw Like a Pro DVD that came out from Germany, which I'll talk about later on as well, but which is quite bad. And then there's been just some random ones that have been posted on YouTube, just from people doing, or kids doing like high school projects and things like that. Alti Village also had a series they did with some really good players. I believe they only sold it on DVDs. They didn't post any of it online really, and some of those are okay. I think that's it. So yeah, there's not a ton. I mean, obviously Mike Lawler has done his instructional videos where he shows videos of a play that happened, and then he sort of goes through that and studies it. But he's not really teaching you how to throw or anything like that. So this is more focused on teaching throwing per se. So when I posted that comment on Facebook, it was a very specific person that I had aimed that at. And it actually was mainly at one person, but it's also is meant for somebody else as well, if that makes sense. So the first person that it's directed at was the guy who did the Throw Like a Pro DVD series. They don't actually sell it anymore. But in that video, they taught you that when you're throwing, you don't actually have to snap your wrist because it comes naturally from your elbow, which is totally wrong. And I'm glad that that video is not really available anymore, because teaching people how to throw them properly is pretty bad for two reasons. One is, if you teach somebody how to throw them properly, you could actually cause injury to that person later on, because when you're throwing them properly, you're actually not moving your body in the way that it was meant to. It's not natural. And over time, if you throw enough incorrectly, you can cause repetitive strain issues, injuries. All right, I've seen a lot of people hurting their elbow, and they're not throwing huge throws. They're only throwing 30, 40-yard throws, but because they're throwing wrong, over time it builds up and they hurt themselves. The other issue with it is, if you learn to throw improperly in the beginning, it takes a long time to learn how to throw properly. So it's kind of like when we're in high school, and when you first start out, learning the higher level math, it's always kind of the running joke. The first class, it's like, here's how you do this problem. And then a month later, it's like, okay, here's how you actually do the problem properly. So it's kind of like in throwing, when we're teaching people how to throw, way back when the convention was, teach people the split finger grip for forehand, and then later on the power grip, right? So we used to say, teach people how to throw like this, it adds some more stability and all that kind of stuff, and it's wrong. The best way to throw is the power grip, 2 fingers along the rim. And so what we really need to be doing is teaching people how to throw properly from the beginning, instead of trying to teach them a way that we think is easier and then leading them on to a way that we say is better, right? We should teach the best way from the beginning. I don't think it'll take them any longer to learn. It's up to them to get out and practice and learn on their own, and spend that time that it requires. Same thing with backhand, right? We used to teach people finger along the rim and then later on move the finger underneath for the power grip, which again, the best way to throw it is with all the fingers underneath. So we should just teach that way from the beginning. So another person that this was sort of directed at was Brodie Smith. He's had a lot of videos online. He gets a lot of exposure through his trick shot videos, which I think are super fun and entertaining. I haven't done any trick shot videos on my own, but they're a lot of fun to watch. I've watched a lot of his trick shot videos for sure. You know, they're great. His instructional videos, however, have a lot of flaws contained within them. And the main flaw is that he teaches people how to throw like himself. The issue with that is he's 6'4", he has longer arms, longer legs, bigger hands than most people. So to try and learn how to throw like him is wrong. We need to be focusing on the mechanics of throwing. All right, so if I'm teaching a backhand, we teach the grip, we teach the wrist snap, we teach the body motion. But to say, you know, you need to step out this far or you need to be releasing at a certain height, those are things that come along from how flexible you are, you know, how long your arms are, where the marker is, all those kind of variables. So to try and teach somebody how to throw a certain way, if their body physically can't do it, then we're going to cause injury to them. Okay, so we need to teach them the mechanics and then encourage them to get in practice and throw on their own, which they will learn their own technique over time. Okay, this is not an immediate process. It's not like we're saying, you know, here's all the elements of the backhand. Now the next time you go play, you'll be able to huck an 80-yard backhand. We're absolutely not saying that. We're saying this is how you start your journey of throwing. That was kind of what the comment was meant for. And also, when someone teaches you how to throw and they've only ever thrown one disc, which is a lot of ultimate players, they're not going to be able to explain things either right or the best way possible. I admit that in some of the videos from my past 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, because my journey has really taken off in the last 2 years. So anything sort of prior to those 2 years, I don't want to say they're wrong, but they're just not as good as they could be. They could be a lot better. So like I said, I'm gonna be updating a lot of my videos this year. Mainly the videos on pulling, because I've learned a lot about throwing distance. I've learned a lot about how to throw properly, and that came about from throwing golf discs. So when I first started playing Ultimate, and even 3-4 years ago, I would tell my friends, I would tell myself that throwing golf discs is going to hurt my Ultimate throw. Because I thought, if I'm throwing anything that's not an Ultimate disc, how can it help your throw? All we're doing when we throw discs is we're learning to throw roughly the same way, right? With heavier discs or lighter discs. And so for me, I know that I've learned a lot in the last 2 years, and I really want to share that with my fans moving forward, and not just for the sake of trying to get views or anything, but for the sake of trying to put out good quality content, because like I said before, I feel like there's a lack of good instructional throwing videos online right now. And the videos that came from the league in the US, I'll post a link here, I can't remember off the top of my head what the name was. They're a good start, but there's still little things, because a lot of times, a lot of people watching throwing videos online have been playing for 5 or 6 years, don't need to start at the beginning, but there's something in their throw that's off. And so they may not necessarily be looking for that full video on how to throw backhand, but they may be looking for, how do I correct this, or how do I fix that? And if I'm there in person helping somebody out, I can help them, but online watching a video, it's kind of tough. So I want to be posting some shorter videos as well, just basically saying, how do you correct this, how do you correct that? I have a video online already talking about increasing the speed of a forehand, which relates to that. If you've been playing for a couple years and you're trying to do something that's not working, a lot of people have the question, why is it not working? And so throwing a Frisbee is far more complex than throwing anything else. A baseball has its complexities because depending on how you grip it, depending on the spin, it will move. And that's just based on physics. But the physics of a Frisbee can do so much more, right? I can throw a Frisbee, depending on the wind conditions, I can throw it either 300 feet, I can throw it 600 feet, I can throw it 800 feet. There's a huge variance in that. Whereas with a baseball, you're throwing it, if someone can throw it 300 feet, that'd be huge, right? 100-yard throw. Same thing with the football, okay? So we're seeing people do a lot of things with the Frisbee that defy what we kind of know or have even seen before. So when I first started playing Ultimate, and this was 12 years ago, I didn't really know much about it because there was no YouTube back then. There wasn't a ton of throwing videos that I could go and see unless I bought DVDs or things like that. And so the way to see good throwers was to go to tournaments where good teams are at and watch good throwers. And I remember the first time I actually saw some people hucking full field. It was two guys from Calgary, and there was at Nationals, and they were hucking end zone to end zone. Dustin and Elliot, who, if you're in Calgary, you know who those guys are. That blew my mind because it showed me that there was other people out there that could throw it far. It was possible to do that. And I think that's the whole point of a lot of the videos that are coming out with, you know, some of the world records I'm doing or some of the big throws that guys like Avery Jenkins are doing, is it shows us what's possible. You know, we're pushing the limit of what a disc can do. And for us, it's fun, but for other people, it's inspiring. It's showing them what's possible. It's, you know, opening their mind to get more creative and have fun with it. And speaking of Avery Jenkins, he's actually really good at what he does because he understands the physics of flight because he can throw a golf disc. Okay, if you only throw an ultimate disc, you're very limited into what your abilities are because an ultimate disc doesn't do much, whereas golf discs do tons of things. Right? He can also throw a dog disc, which is pretty difficult because a dog disc is 70 grams lighter than an ultimate disc, and so when you throw an ultimate disc with an inside-out edge, okay, it will try to flip flat. Whereas when you throw a dog disc, it's going to turn over so quickly. You really need to learn better control. Okay, so we understand in disc golf that it's all about hyzer and anhyzer. In ultimate, it's inside out and outside in. But if you really want to take your throwing to the next level, learn to throw golf discs, learn to throw dog discs, and just get out and just throw. Okay, if you're only throwing ultimate discs, you're really holding yourself back as to how good you could be at throwing. Okay. For 10 years, I worked really, really hard at my throwing. I threw an ultimate disc all the time. I'd play disc golf with ultimate discs. And I was good. I was a good thrower. You know, I could huck it. Basically throw 120 yards with an ultimate disc, which is pretty far. But there was something missing. I still wasn't as good as I could be. And so the last 2 years when I started getting into golf disc throwing and I've gotten into dog disc throwing, my throws have improved exponentially. It's been amazing to see. And so I want to be able to pass that knowledge on to you and say, you know, don't listen to sort of this conventional thinking that if you're throwing something other than an ultimate disc, it's going to hurt your throw, because it absolutely won't. Okay, I encourage you to throw Frisbees that are not an ultimate disc. Okay, if you have any questions, you can let me know. Rob@ultimaterob.com, or just go to ultimaterob.com, click on contact. Ask me any questions you want about discs. Would love to answer them. And I'm actually going to a competition in a week in Virginia called the Virginia State Frisbee Tournament. And it's an overall tournament. It is like a heptathlon in track and field. So there's 7 events that we compete in. Okay, Virginia State is modified. There's only 6. But it's done with a variety of discs. So I'm playing DDC, which is called double disc court, which I use a Whammo DDC disc for. Okay, you've heard, probably the only time you've heard the name Whammo is when Brody makes fun of Whammo, but without Whammo we wouldn't have Frisbees. They were the original Frisbee. There's a lot of history there. So for me, it's hard seeing those videos because I respect Whammo, because they make a lot of really good Frisbees. Okay, their ultimate disc may not be the best ultimate disc, but their other Frisbees are amazing. We're also doing self-caught flight, which we can either use an ultimate disc or a Whammo fastback for. I'll be using probably a fastback because I find it goes better. Going to be doing distance, which we throw a golf disc. Going to be doing freestyle, which we throw a Discraft Sky Styler freestyle disc. We're going to be doing accuracy, and you can throw, most people throw either an ultimate disc or an Innova Zephyr disc. An Innova Zephyr is a golf disc, and so that's what I'm going to be throwing. And then we're also doing disc golf, which obviously you throw golf discs. So, like I said, the way to get better at throwing is learning from people that are good. Okay, one of the best ways to learn from people who are good throwers is to watch them. There's a lot of athletes who are good at what they do, but they can't translate that into teaching you how to do that. Okay, so watch what they do, try and copy them. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. For example, one of my key influencers was Derek Alexander. when I first watched him play, he could throw from the splits, and I'd never seen that before. I hadn't even thought about throwing like that, so it totally blew my mind. I started learning how to throw like that, and it changed the way that I looked at Ultimate, because I all of a sudden I could step out a lot further, I could get low, I could fake, I could break, and it really brought my game to the next level just by watching him. I never went up and talked to him and said, "Can you teach me how to do that?" I just watched what he did, and then in my mind I knew it was possible. Okay, so that's one of the biggest things. So by watching a lot of these videos that Everything Ultimate is posting, Next Gen is posting, Sky is posting, Ultimate World is posting, we see what's possible. When we see a huge layout D, when we see a huge Sky, it's like, oh, okay, that's possible. Now how do I work on that? In order to get a good Sky, I need to work on my vertical. In order to get a good layout, I need to work on my speed and timing. Okay, things like that. So really become a good thrower. Learn from watching good throwers throw, and then watch instructional videos if you don't know how to throw or you have questions about throwing, or ask people who can help you out with it. Okay, there are a lot of amazing coaches out there, and fortunately for them, unfortunately for us, the reason that they're amazing is because they spend their time coaching people and not putting their stuff online. Okay, I don't have time to coach people because I put my stuff online, so this is the way I'm coaching you. Okay, so I almost look at it as you're my team all over the world, whereas people like Ben Wiggins, his team is in person that he always goes to. Okay, so his knowledge is done in the Rise Up Ultimate videos, which is amazing. Okay, but there's a lot of amazing coaches probably in your city that you can go to that can help you out. Okay, ask questions, be curious. It's always a learning process. You can always learn more. You can always get better. In the last week, I've thrown 1,300 throws with a variety of discs, and I've already felt my throws getting better in that last week. Okay, so you can always learn. It's all about deliberate practice. So when you're going and throwing, throw the disc. If it does something well and it does it right, throw that same throw again. Okay, if it does something wrong, then adjust until you get the right throw. If you're not sure what you're doing wrong, ask questions. If you're doing something right, keep going. If you want to get further, ask questions. Okay, common theme here: ask questions, be curious. Okay, but at the core of everything we do, without a Frisbee, Ultimate would not exist. Okay, it would just be 14 people running around a field. So what links everything together is a Frisbee. The better you are at throwing, the better you understand how a disc moves through the air, you'll be a better player. Okay, so the videos that I'm going to be coming out with this year will help you with that. And like I said, I'm going to be refreshing my teaching videos because I've learned a lot in the last 4 years. I teach a little bit differently now compared to a lot of the videos that you might have seen. And I feel like I teach better than I did because I've spent so much time talking to people and learning from other people. Okay, a lot of the learning I've done in the last 2 years have been from other people, and I'm very grateful, to them for teaching me, and I want to share that with you. So look forward to that for the next 3-4 months. Basically, I'm trying to get them up this summer. And on that note, before I say goodbye, I just want to officially announce here first that Savage Ultimate is my new merchandise company and provider. So you'll be seeing a link in the bottom of this video to my new store, ultimaterobstore.com. Right now there's only a couple products on the store, but we're working at designing a bunch more. What's going to be nice about the store is it's going to carry things like shorts, t-shirts, hoodies, jerseys, hats, and discs. And along with my own brand, we're also going to be developing a lot of other cool ideas and designs, and part of this will link into a web series that I'm working on right now, which I'm not going to tell you about yet. It's going to be a surprise coming later on. But the main thing is that I have a couple of graphic designer friends who really want to put some cool designs on t-shirts, so look forward to some really unique designs coming out. I also will have, like I said, some Ultimate Rob branded gear as well. So check that out, ultimaterobstore.com. Thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know, rob@ultimaterob.com, or visit my website at ultimaterob.com. Thank you.